Yo, what's up, boys and girls? I'm American History Turkey, here to teach you about, you guessed it, American history. If you're having trouble understanding American history in class, have I got a video for you. This video. If you don't have trouble with American history, you should still watch because it could be filled with humor and shenanigans. This video shall feature what happened between 1492 and 1607. Why these dates? Hopefully you'll know by the end of the video. So, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue with a boat full of Jews. This was because Europe wasn't all that fond of Judaism, so lots of Jewish people decided to skedaddle before they lost their heads. And where better to skedaddle to than America?
USA!
USA! USA! USA! USA!
With Columbus. You might hear a lot of crazy people going around saying the earth is flat. Well, Columbus wasn't one of them.
Weird.
Columbus knew the earth was round just like most educated people of the time. He just thought it was much smaller than it is, which is why people laughed at him. So he set sail to find a faster path to India because Europe wanted spices, but Africa was in the way, and they didn't want to walk there like Marco Polo. I see India, said Rodrigo, a man who sailed with Columbus. Then Columbus said, I saw it last night. How? It just came into view now. You can keep your claim to India, or you can keep your kneecaps. Because, see, there was this rule that whoever saw it got it. So if Rodrigo had reported back to Spain that he saw America first, he would have been given ownership of all the land and riches and whatnot. But Rodrigo decided he would keep his kneecaps, and Columbus is credited with discovering America. So they landed in the Caribbean, and Columbus died believing he had found a new path to the Indies. Columbus decided, hey, see those guys over there? Yeah, the ones that are native here, so obviously they're Indians because this is India. They're not as good as us, let's make them our slaves. And he did. In the early 1500s, this priest guy sailed to America on one of Columbus's returning trips. Priest Bartolomeu de las Casas, or Priest Bart as I like to call him, had some pretty crazy ideas. He thought that the Native Americans Columbus was enslaving should be treated as human beings and given rights.
It's funny how dumb you are.
Priest Bart spent his time advocating for the rights of the natives. It obviously didn't work, but hey, at least he tried. Eventually, Spanish explorers actually landed on the American continent. There are a bunch of these explorers, but they're not very interesting, so we're going to do a speed round of explorers. A special guest, American History Dog! Cabeza de Vaca, whose names literally translate to cowhead, explored the area from Florida to Texas and Mexico in 1536. Juan Ponce de Leon discovered Puerto Rico and Florida while trying to reach the Fountain of Youth. He was the first person to reach America and died 8 years later. Hernando de Soto was given the charter to settle Florida because Ponce failed. Vasquez de Coronado went to Arizona, and Rodriguez Cabrillo went to California. And Giovanni de Verrazano, a French guy, went to New York. And Cortez killed the Aztecs in Mexico while Pizarro killed the Incas in Peru. After the Spanish finally made it to America, they built the first permanent European structure/colony, Fort Augustine, in 1565, which is still in Florida today. Meanwhile, over in Europe, the French and English were watching the Spanish conquer America and said, we gotta get in on that, and started sending their own people to colonize America as well. The French settled in the north, where Canada is. They like to hunt beavers for their fur, and the French were the only colonizers to really get along with the Native Americans. This was because many women didn't come to the New World, so the French explorers made families with the Native Americans. The Spanish mostly stayed in Florida and below, except they did have Texas and California and everything in between. For now. The British landed in the middle, America, even if it took them a hot second to get a successful colony going. You may have heard of Roanoke. Roanoke was a colony in Virginia founded in 1585 by Sir Walter Raleigh. He went back to England for a short time, but couldn't make it back till 1590 because there were some layovers at the airport. The Spanish Armada, or Navy, was planning to attack in 1588, but they got wiped out by a hurricane. The only thing left of the colony of Roanoke when Sir Walter returned was the word Croatoan, carved into a tree. The colonists had been told to carve where they were headed into a tree, but Walter wasn't sure what to make of this. Croatoan was the name of the local Native Americans, and that's pretty much the most certain facts that anyone knows about the disappeared colony. The first permanent English settlement comes at the end of the timeline for this video, Jamestown. Jamestown was founded in 1607 by a group of singers and one war surgeon. Jamestown had some abandoned Native American homes, and for a good reason. What the colonists didn't know was that the water was polluted with high levels of arsenic, which is basically poison, and was highly salty, also deadly. The Native Americans had abandoned it because the living conditions were horrendous. The settlers of Jamestown had gone from 500-ish people to about 50 in a year because of the mosquitoes, water, and lack of food. The one guy started to eat his dead wife to survive. But England needed more people to keep going to America because England started to become overpopulated and it wanted to keep its hold on the New World. So who better to send over than John Smith? Contrary to what cartoons from the 90s may have you believe, everyone hated John Smith. He was sent in to teach the colonists how to actually farm and survive, but the colonists were lazy bums who were told that America was full of riches and had gone there for the easy life. No one wanted to do the things John Smith wanted them to do for survival, so they shot him in the face with a cannon. He lived, got the message, and went back to England, and the colonists returned to dying and eating their spouses. Thus concludes the early days of American history. What will our dying band of colonists do next? Tune in next time to the exciting events of the American colonists. Will they kill the natives or each other? The answer, yes. And hey, subscribe if you liked the video, and leave a comment about how I can improve future videos. This is American History Turkey saying, gobble gobble, your grade's in trouble.